My first year, I had never met my roommate. I decided to do traditional res. I'm so glad I did because that's where I met my friend group.
And I actually roomed with someone who I went to high school with.
So when I first got to campus, I actually knew my roommate from high school. We were really close throughout the school year. We were like, oh, it's a great idea to live together. It ended up not working that way, so you definitely have to make sure you talk to them about stuff that you wouldn't normally talk to them since you are living together.
I kind of lucked out because the person I roomed with here at OSU, I had known for 13 years at that time. He was my brother's best friend.
When I got to the housing portal and was applying, I just picked a random person, and I got very lucky. I'm very close friends with my roommate. We had met for the first time on move-in day. We had talked beforehand over texting and stuff like that.
The first few weeks are going to be pretty awkward.
Definitely early communication early on is going to be your best bet.
So you can either start it on social media, or when you get here, kind of just find something you have in common and do it together.
Establish from the beginning if you just want to be roommates or if you want to be best friends. I think that's really important because some people just want to live together and establish those boundaries, and some people really want their roommate to go everywhere with them.
Communication is important. It's so important.
When you get here, there might be challenges with a roommate. That happens for everyone.
You need to learn kind of how to balance each other's schedules out and how to understand what part of the dorm is yours. Another thing is respect your space. Limit the amount of things that are spread out all over the place because it might not get on some people's nerves, but you never know. If you've never met this person, you don't know how they are when it comes to their space.
Set those boundaries first. Set boundaries of everything down to what kind of temperature you want the room to be, or who's going to take out the trash.
Having roommates there's a lot of compromise that comes with that.
The best thing is to just respect each other. Don't do something that you know would irritate you.
So I would just recommend that you make sure all expectations are laid out on the table prior to moving in, and that you take the roommate agreement seriously when you meet with your community mentors, because they are there to help you, and that roommate agreement will help solve a lot of issues.
Things like food or clothing or things like that are important to talk about and sort of make sure that you know their boundaries as well as them knowing yours.
Coming to college, you are going to meet different people, and they're going to be possibly different from you, and that is totally okay. That's what college is about. This is your opportunity to learn more about the person and maybe learn more about yourself.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that people are coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, and so their experience might be significantly different than yours. So being able to openly have that conversation and kind of respect them as a person, as a human being, and have that conversation of, what does this mean for you?
The best way to talk to your roommate about an issue is just realize that both of you are going to think that you're right, and so maybe take a step back from the situation and be willing to compromise.
The best way to go about doing that is kind of just to let the person know and be honest. Don't be hateful about it.
Putting yourself in their shoes, what are they thinking about? What are they concerned about? How would they perceive what's going on? And then being upfront and honest with the person. If they are making loud noises at night while you're trying to sleep, they may not realize that. And by you not addressing the situation is only giving them permission to continue.
Just open communication is the biggest thing with roommates.
So I'd just say making sure that there's an understanding, you're empathetic, and you kind of put yourself in their shoes because you don't know what they've been through prior to moving here.
My recommendation would definitely be have a cooling off period where you can both kind of take a step back from the situation, analyze it from both points of view, and then go from there. That's typically how me and my roommate would resolve things, is going through and just saying, you know what, we're gonna address this tomorrow, and then come up with a meeting time. Don't meet in the dorm, just go meet, have a cup of coffee on campus somewhere and discuss it there, and most of the time it gets resolved without any serious issues.
So when a conflict arrives with a roommate, a good step to start out with when solving the problem is definitely talk to them. If that doesn't work, I would recommend going to a CM or RN and just saying, talking and saying like what's happening, what they suggest you to do, and if that doesn't work, they can show you how to transfer rooms, and they will help you situate.
Within the 3rd week through the 5th week, we're going to have some roommate agreements where we're going to say, okay, now that you've lived with each other for a couple weeks, what time do you like to go to bed? If someone is sleeping, what's acceptable to do, what's not acceptable to do? If we have guests over, are we requiring all guests in the room to wear masks? Are we allowing guests in the room at all? What does cleanliness look like? Who's going to clean? How frequently are we going to clean? What does clean mean?
I would try to find them at a good time to bring up the conversation and get them at a good time when you know that they're going to be in a good spot.
Being able to see things from another person's perspective is maybe not a strength that you have now, but I guarantee you after living with someone in close quarters for a year, you'll be able to compromise like a champ.
The number one goal of having a roommate is just to exist together. So as much as you can to let each other know what the expectations are.
One of the greatest things about college is during these 4 or maybe 5 years on campus, you're going to expand your horizons exponentially. And the place you first start that is definitely with a roommate. That's the beauty of getting a randomly assigned roommate. That's what I did, and it was incredible.
All my roommate relationships were just functional relationships. You live here, I live here. Let's try to clean up after each other. If I'm doing something wrong, please tell me. And if like you're doing something that's annoying, I'll tell you and ask you.
What I've found over the years is that the best roommate is someone you can just get along with. They don't need to be your best friend. As long as you guys can survive in the same room together, that's a success.
The argument is still going on and your CM hasn't helped. You can actually go to counseling services as another option to help resolve any issues that you may have.
And sometimes you need someone to help to tell you it's okay to go to counseling, or let's walk to counseling together. Try to be their friend, but you don't have to be their best friend. And I think the biggest thing is if there is an issue there that you have a problem with, let's say you're concerned about them, let's say whatever it is, be direct and talk to them. I think that's the best thing you can do. The other thing that I think is really important is that if there's any sort of warning sign that you might notice, let's say your roommate is incredibly isolated, or let's say they've said something to you that causes you concern, there are things you can do on campus. There are care report options. You can certainly try to talk to them. I recommend that first, but if you're not comfortable talking to them, certainly feel that you can submit a care report and somebody else can reach out to them and offer support.